If you're a Toyota fan in GTA, this video is for you. We're doing the Karin Previon, the brand new Karin versus the Dinka Jester Classic. Sora versus Supra here on the Stockboy Gaming channel. We're going to see how much Rockstar actually knows about these cars. If you don't know, the Sora or SC300, if you're in the US like I am, is actually one of the most underrated tuners of all time. I'm pretty excited to have one in the game. It shares pretty much everything with the Mark IV Supra, including the legendary 2JZ engine. So these cars should actually be pretty similar. Which car is going to be the fastest? To the quarter mile on a technical circuit? What's the Previon's customization like? Can you win street races in the new car? And how does it stack up against the rest of the tuners update with the speed score? We're doing it all in one video. And we're starting at the drag strip. You may say, wait a second, that's not the Supra, that's not the Jester Classic on the left. And you'd be right, this is the GT4, it's the Calico GTF. We're gonna see first how well this thing does at the drag strip versus the fastest car for this particular test in the tuners class, not at the tuners class. You can see it gets beat to the 8th mile there. It's gonna get beat to the quarter mile, and then it's gonna get stomped all the way to the half-mile line. So, as far as tuners go, the Calico GTF is still the king of acceleration, but the Previon did all right. So let's see how it stacks up against the Supra. And the Supra has pretty good acceleration as well. So this is a pretty good test. We're gonna see, did Rockstar give these cars similar acceleration? The Previon on the right, Jester Classic on the left, and the Previon off the line actually does pretty well. Once we get to that 8th mile line though, it is a little bit behind the Jester Classic or the Supra. The Jester Classic is a really fast straight line car in this game. The fact that the Previon kind of keeps up to the 8th and quarter mile lines is somewhat encouraging. I would have loved to see it a little bit faster as far as acceleration goes. You can see once we get to the half mile there, it's pretty far behind. So let's see how they do. Calico GTF is blazing fast, but the Jester Classic can also do an 8th mile in 6 seconds. The Previon can't, and you can see as you go further down the drag strip, it just kind of falls farther and farther behind. So maybe that's not where the strength is going to be for that car. We're going to look at top speed. Seaside Speedway. Jester RR you see on the screen now is the fastest of the tuners class at this track as of right now. The top speed for the Jester RR at this track at least is 133.6 miles an hour. So can the Previon compete with the Jester RR on this track? Maybe top speed is going to be the strength for this car. Or will it fall again to the Jester Classic? The Jester Classic is looking pretty strong after that first test, but I have a little bit of faith in Rockstar, and I have a feeling they're going to be similar enough to where the speed score is going to get interesting. So let's see how they do. At the track, you got your top two here. The Jester RR 133.6, the Jester Classic 119.7. Doesn't have a great top speed, unfortunately. Neither does the Previon at 118.4. That is the second slowest top speed for all tuners class cars. It's slower than the Tailgater S, and only the HKR Warner is slower there. So that's not great, but we're going to the track. The Previon handles really well. I'm really excited to see how it does here against the Jester Classic. You can see that it's really even after that first sector, going under that first gantry. Can the Previon keep up with the Jester Classic? That'd be quite the feat. The Previon is in the coupes class, so I knew it wasn't going to be the fastest of the tuner cars, but if it can keep up with a car in the sports class and a good car in the sports class, that would be pretty awesome to see. That's what we're looking for here. You can see the second gantry, the reverse start finish line. Previon falls behind a little bit more, and it's actually going to do its best to catch up through this final sector, which means the handling is pretty good. It does understeer just a little bit, but it still manages to close the gap. Unfortunately, we know that the Jester owns it in acceleration, and it's going to show us that down the front stretch here. So it ends up ahead by just a couple of car lengths. So how does the Previon, that car's not in the tuners class, how does the Previon handle the best car at this track in the tuners? That's what we want to see next. The 22B STI or the Sultan RS Classic on the top, going up against the Previon, and this isn't really a fair fight, but what I will say about the Previon is that it handles really well. It's incredibly easy to drive. If you just want something that you can throw around corners, the Previon is awesome. You look at the two fastest cars at this track in the tuners class, which is the Sultan RS Classic you see on the top, and then only behind by a couple hundredths of a second, the Growler, which is my favorite. They're a lot harder to drive. The Previon, if you just want to go fast and you want to go fast easily, it's a pretty decent option. It's a fun car, sticks really well, it grips a lot. You can see here on this long corner, it does understeer just a bit. If it had a little bit more rotation and could hang on that inside line, it would lose a couple of tenths off of its lap time, which would help a lot with the speed score. It gets smoked by the Sultan RS Classic though, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where it lands as far as speed score goes. You can see the times for those cars there. The RS Classic is very fast at this track, to be fair. The Previon does beat a minute though, which is pretty good. Under a minute at this track is really solid. A 58-second time is fast. 57 seconds is really fast. It only really loses out to the Jester Classic by about a half second there. So, speed score, what does that mean? Let's check these out. The Jester Classic has an 86.2 speed score, which is pretty good. The Previon, though, 84.2. Under 85 isn't great, so that's a bit disappointing. They are fairly similar, though. They're pretty close to each other as far as the stats goes, and that means the Previon is at the bottom of the tuners class, essentially. Only the Futo GTX and the Warner are worse as far as speed score goes, and it does fall behind the Tailgater S as well. So that's not great. I will say that it is somewhat similar, at least similar enough to the Jester Classic that I'm kind of happy with it. We want to look at our best tuners though. The Jester RR is still the third best as far as speed score goes. Calico GTF for overall performance is second, and my favorite, the Growler, still holds the top spot. I guess that means the Growler is going to be the king forever unless we get more tuners, which is awesome. I'm totally 100% satisfied with that. If you can control your throttle and you don't have the Growler, you should go grab one. It's fantastic. But as far as this Karin Previon goes, should you buy it? Well, I'm excited to have this in the game. I think what it comes down to is that you should buy it if you really like the Soarer or SC300. If you want to win races, you're probably not going to do it. The customization you're seeing here is somewhat decent. It's a little bit better than the Cypher. It is, in my opinion, much better than the Sultan RS Classic, which just basically copied the regular Sultan Classic. So there's that. It's a decent car overall. If you like the Soarer, you like the SC300, go grab one. Have a good time with it. You're not going to win races, but hey, you know, that's not what it's always all about. That's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments, are you going to buy this car or not? And if you're not already subscribed and you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for joining, and I hope to see you next time.